Welcome to the Bella Vista Gardening Program. I'm Geri Hoerner, and with me today is fellow Bella Vista Garden Club member Brian Grosnickle, and he is also the owner of Village Garden and Landscape in Bella Vista at Trafalgar and at Kingsland. And today we're going to be talking about all the new plants and new things coming out with gardening this year, and there's so many exciting new things that the nurseries or the growers have come up with, and we're going to be talking about new ways to use plants, and then also what to do in your garden in March. So welcome, Brian, to the show.
Thank
I
you.
know you have so many new wonderful
It's almost
products. It's like overwhelming. So we are going to eliminate our DVD of our Meet the Masters this month because Brian just has so much information to share with us, and we'll have to wait next month. Maybe we'll have a DVD of a garden. So, but this month we just want to talk about all the new things coming out and new ideas, and we can rejuvenate our gardens. And I think you have some new ideas for gardening itself.
Yeah,
how
there's
to use the plants.
a lot of things that I'm working on right now. And I was at a garden center over in Tulsa the other day, and I was just really impressed with the unique and unusual things. This first one is they took old car tires and they turned them over and put window screen underneath them and stapled that on, and then turned them over, and once they were painted, filled them with dirt, and then they put various annuals and some grasses and rose moss and just different things, but the contrasting colors were so bright that I thought that in a nice sunny location
That would be
would
wonderful.
look really well. And down at D&L Tire, he'll give you all the tires you want if anybody wants to go down there and get some, and then just use a exterior latex paint.
Just exterior
and
latex.
a
is all it
gloss.
takes.
You can either do Thompson's water seal or just a spray gloss, and I think that's going to be something real bright, and I'm going to be working on that this afternoon, in fact.
That's great.
The second idea, they just took an old pallet, and on the inside they put containers of herbs and different flowers, and then just kind of fed them out through the pallet itself. And
But
then
the
just had it up
pallet
against
is
the
like
wall.
a box itself, so
Yeah.
it just holds the pot. You just
And
stick the
4-inch
4-inch pots.
They fit absolutely perfect in there.
Oh, that's a
And
great
this is
idea.
one, I think it took me all of 5 minutes to put together. I had some petunias that were in bloom, and this is a half pallet, and then I had some basil and parsley and some different vining things, but they just fit right down in there, and then when you water it, you start at the top, and it just drains right down through it. And you can get pallets pretty near anywhere, and
Well, that's a good reuse of pallets. It's
Yeah.
a great idea for pallets.
and
Get rid of
as
them.
far as some of the new plants that were available, I just got back from Greenleaf. I spent pretty much the whole day there last Thursday. This is called an urban apple, and what it is, it's a columnar apple, and it'll grow about 7 foot tall and 2 foot around, and it will produce fruit the first year. It's a self-pollinating, and they've got 4 different varieties, and we're going to be getting in the green, which is kind of a tangy, and then this golden is kind of a cross between a yellow and a red. But that's a new plant we're going to be getting in.
Well, apple trees have always been grown here in Northwest Arkansas. We were the apple capital of the
Oh,
world
yeah,
for a while.
long
for the
time.
country.
But I've had a lot
there's
of-
just so much trouble with spraying.
Yeah.
Apples.
Well, these
And
are
this
supposed to
would
be
small
disease
enough
resistant,
to
and you can have them, near enough to the house or in a container or in an urn or something.
wow.
But I've had a lot of calls for people wanting fruit trees or fruit-producing plants that they can grow themselves.
That's right.
We're going to be getting apricot trees in, pear, plum, a couple, 2, 3 different kinds of apples. But then this is another plant. It's called an edgy hearts hydrangea, and they're kind of heart-shaped leaves, but then they got a white frosting around the edge.
Oh, that would
And
really-
again, it's a proven winner, which is a patented variety that's only available to the independents. You're not going to see it at Walmart or Home Depot or Lowe's or any of the chain outlets. This first plant is an orange quince, and it's fully in bloom, and it's got a double blossom. In fact, some of them almost have 3.
Right.
That the
There's
blooms
3
are so
coming out
tight.
of that right there.
Yeah, but once the blooms, they'll be on for probably another 2-3 weeks, and then it'll green up.
Well, the normal quince we see is more of a pinky red
Yeah.
color, and that orange is wonderful. And I have one called Cameo, which is a cameo color. It's more like
Kind of a salmon.
Yeah, like a salmon,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful soft color. So they're
I like
coming
them.
out with new quinces too.
Yeah, I like that. Those are about the first with the forsythia, but
Right.
with as crazy as the weather's been, everything's
early.
Yeah, we've already got tulips blooming.
Mm-hmm.
Another new variety. This is just a smaller version than what we had last year, but again, it's called a bloomerang lilac. And what it will do is once it blooms, you prune it back, and then it's going to continue to rebloom continuously until first frost.
A reblooming lilac.
And they're very fragrant. They only get, and this prefers full sun, and it will only get 5 foot tall. So it's a compact plant that you could have in a small area. And if you had it near a window or somewhere where you could open it, then the scent would, kind of trail through the house.
Oh, that's great. Because lilacs do really well here.
Yeah.
So.
Another new product. This was a blackberry plant developed down at the University of Arkansas. In fact, it's called the Wachita, but it's thornless. You have no stickers.
Oh, wow.
And it bears heavy fruit in the 1st of June. But it's supposed to be very tasty, overwinters real well. But I thought just the fact that it was developed down at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville was kind of neat.
Now, is that where you're getting those plants?
Well, this actually comes out of Tahlequah. Greenleaf is over in...
and Greenleaf actually
they're the
produces
growers.
these.
They're the patented growers for this.
Patented growers, okay.
And they're the only ones that do have the patent on it. And this is an example of a new Encore Azalea. They have a double bloom. They're like a twin bloom. Mm-hmm. This is one that just opened up a couple days ago. But they've got a new variety this year that's kind of a lavender or a lilac colored that I think I've got 50 on order that'll be here at the end of March.
Okay.
But this is a great plant. It takes the full sun, drought tolerant. The nice thing about it is you don't prune it, you just leave it alone, because if you prune it, you disrupt the bloom cycle. But it's another...
But don't you, like, at the end of all the
yeah,
blooming in the
like
fall?
I'd say in November, you could get rid of some of the ones that maybe have gotten a little bit leggy if you want to keep it shaped up.
Okay.
But the nice thing about these is that they continue to bloom over and over again, whereas the standard azalea, you get your flowers once and shows over.
But usually the Encores, they'll have a big bloom in the spring, and then they'll kind of continually have,
usually July,
sparse blooming.
and then like late September, October, and I think I had one last year that I got 4 blooms out of it. It went right up into November.
Wow.
And then the cold got it, but then it just went back to being dormant.
But it's nice to have some color other than just in the spring.
Oh, yeah.
You get so spoiled in the spring with all the color, with everything blooming.
Something that's always, I like to keep a variety of stuff so that, one thing will replace another, and that you always have something going on. Even in the winter, you can still have some greenery, which is better than looking at nothing.
Right. Yeah. So this is a beautiful azalea.
But we'll be getting quite a few. I've got, I think, 200 on order. Last year, I had trouble getting a lot of the Encores, but they've corrected whatever situation they had. There's an elephant deer that I saw the other day. It's called Coal Miner's Daughter, and it's jet black, but the leaves were just absolutely mammoth. And I thought with something lime green or even something white, there was an oxalis that's black and white that I thought looked real neat. And the contrast, if you have it just in a black container or a white container, would certainly give you some color.
And you're going to have all these you're talking about.
Coming in the last week of March I think I've got a delivery almost every day of, I'm starting with the perennials and then the shrubs, and then annuals will be the next week. I always hate to get the annuals in so early because
well, that's
we
one
always
of the
get a cold
biggest
snap.
problems we have with annuals, especially the box stores. They have all these annuals so early that, if you try to put them out when you buy them, they'll freeze because we always get that late freeze. And if you try to keep them, they get a little leggy. But they really have the annuals available too soon.
Yeah, I saw them at Walmart this morning. They were unloading stuff.
This is like the first part of March. You know? And it's just too early for annuals. So when the nurseries start, the independent nurseries usually wait for a while to get their delivery. So it's really better to buy them at an independent nursery and get them, when you want to plant them, instead of having to hold them and try to tend them and let them get leggy or, pot bound or something.
Yeah.
So
I try to stagger our deliveries so that we're always getting something fresh in.
Right.
I know a lot of people have been in over the past week, and everybody's wanting stuff now, and I've told them that it's just too early.
Too early.
I talked to Dan Scoff the other day, and he said that Old Man Winter probably has another surprise yet for us this year, because this has just been an exceptionally mild winter by any standards. And
well, it's the absolute direct opposite of last year. Last year was the worst winter we ever had.
Yeah.
in, I don't know, 60, 70 years here, and now we've had this real mild winter, so everybody's itching to get out there and work in the garden because it's so nice and things are blooming early, but it's just really too early. You have to just control yourself and
You know, the greenhouses
pull back.
are gearing up. When I was over at Greenleaf the other day, they probably had 1,000 people that were, you know, doing cuttings and getting orders put together and just working all over it's a huge operation. And but
Now, can anyone go there, or you have to
they
be a...
they would prefer like a group, whether it be a school group or the garden
Oh.
club or things like that, and then they have like shuttle buses, and they will take you around and show
you can
you
tour
all the areas in development, and you can go to like the cutting. There's a building that does nothing but the cuttings and propagation, and then they've got their own, like they make all their own tags, and there's a printing area that's a huge building, and you just call ahead or if I could just call my representative and just say, hey, you know, there's a group of people coming over and they want to see
That would
it.
be a
But
great little trip to just see all the
yeah, that was
activity
something
there.
that I
It's
think
very
we talked about
educational.
last year, and every other year they have what's called a field day, and it's an open house to all their customers, and I thought maybe the garden club could go over, and they feed you a real good lunch, and they'll take you to the tree farm and the new area where they're like in development is real fun, because you get to see like exactly how they're propagating things and the various stages of like from a cutting to, you know, a potted plant to a finished product.
Oh.
But that's a real neat thing too, is you get to see all the new things in the fall that won't be available until the
Till
next summer.
spring.
But it gives you, you know, ideas of
Right.
what to get in or
Well, I think we're all going to have to be replacing some shrubs that were, you know, lost from last winter. I know in the summer drought, I
Yeah.
lost several old established Weigela and, you know, shrubs that should have, you know, made it through the summer, but we're going to have to be replacing a lot of
there's a lot of
shrubs
stuff that burned up and
trees.
a lot of people, you know, they didn't have $400 or $500 to spend on water
Well,
bills.
Even
and
though I watered, I had my watering system on, and even though I watered, you couldn't get enough water with the 100-degree temperatures and that heat and the drought. It was just impossible to keep them going.
we were
so-
starting at 8 o'clock in the morning, and by 5 o'clock, you know, we'd make one round, but by the time you got finished, it was time to start over
That's
again.
right.
And the month of August, that's virtually all I did, is just watered
It's just
every day of the week.
water,
and
water. So.
It was kind of brutal.
And even so, like I said, I've lost shrubs. I'm sure a lot of people have lost shrubs and plants that will have to be replaced. So your nursery's going to have a lot of new things
Yeah, I'm
to
looking
choose
forward
from.
to this spring.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
gonna
we've
be a
got
great
some
spring.
interesting introductions and things that you're not going to see anywhere else.
Right. And then you also had some other things from the nursery you'd been looking at too.
Yeah, there was quite a few. I'm getting some different perennials in this year, and some new introductions on virtually everything, and I'm going to focus more on the new introductions this year. You know, I'll have the boxwoods and there's your standard things, but there's quite a few different hostas that we haven't had before, and there's quite a few different, they've got some annuals that they're actually growing now for this area. Greenleaf in like 1 gallon containers.
Oh.
That'll be a little bit different. The sweet potato vines, there's a frosted, kind of a pink and white
Right.
sweet
I've heard
potato
about
vine that
that
looked
one.
really neat. And in fact, Linda from the garden club helped me. She went through the new catalog I got in and kind of picked out some things that she thought would be neat. And Judy Shannon looked at it, and then Elsie Taylor. But they've all given me some real good ideas of something unique, something different, something bold, something colorful.
That's right, because we got to add a lot of color to our gardens. You
Yeah.
know, that's what makes them fun.
Yeah.
So, and new things always make it fun. You know,
Oh, yeah.
instead of the same old things all the time. So, and I know there's been some changes also in the fertilizers that you're going to be able to buy.
Shoot, what's the name of it?
Scott.
Scott's. Yeah, the Miracle Grow has been reformulated. I believe that the potassium or phosphorus has been removed
Right.
entirely from all fertilizer. I don't know if it's the USDA or if it's the government that they were saying it gets into the water table.
Right. Well, we're having trouble in Arkansas with Oklahoma because
Yeah.
the chicken farmers
It's coming
have
this
been
way.
blamed for all this phosphorus in the water in Oklahoma, and you know it's just been a big battle. And a lot of the phosphorus, I think, that's getting into the groundwater is because of home gardeners and golf courses, and you know, putting all this phosphorus down when it's not needed.
Yeah.
If you have your soil test done and you know what you need, it'll tell you what you need. You may need, you know, nitrogen or potash or something like that, but you may not need phosphorus
No.
in your soil. But you buy these fertilizers that are pre-mixed and you put it down anyway,
Yeah.
whether you need it or not.
That's an excellent, they're very thorough at the extension office when you go get that. It's 3 or 4 pages, and I mean, it's very detailed. It'll tell you
and it's free.
what is good and what is not.
Right.
And
To get your soil test, all you really have to do is take an area, say you have a vegetable garden, or you have a rose garden, or you have an azalea bed, and make the 3 separate tests. And take soil from about 3 or 4 inches down. Just make a little hole and dig a little bit of soil in about 4 or 5 areas of that bed, and dry that really well. I dry it in the garage on newspaper till it's really dry. Then in individual bags, you mark your bag of your soil, whether it's like a rose garden, azalea bed, vegetable garden, lawn, whether it's your lawn. And so you can get individual tests. Now the tests are free because there's a tax that you pay when you buy fertilizers or chemicals in Arkansas that pays for the soil test. So it doesn't cost you anything. You just take it to the extension office. It's up on
it's next to the county jail.
next to the county jail, if you know where that is. But it's on 102.
Yeah.
And it's just right past Highway 71. And you just take it in, and they will send you the reply for each of those tests and tell you exactly what you need to add and what your test, your soil is lacking, and what you don't have to add. It'll tell you, you don't need that. It's very thorough.
And
Right.
I've had a lot of people come in and they'll want to know, well, what plants would work here, and
Right.
and that's usually the first thing I tell them. If they keep putting a plant in the same place and it keeps dying, it's not the plant, it's the soil.
Right.
And knowing what.
And then also tells you about your pH. Your
Yeah.
pH is real important too, to get your pH right for the different areas. So
But knowing
soil
that will
tests are
help you
important.
pick, what plants are ideal for that particular area where you want to put stuff. And,
Right.
it's a free report. And
It's a
very,
wonderful,
very
wonderful
good.
service. So the master gardeners are just great service to all of us too. And the organic products you're carrying now, we're all trying to be more organic and using less chemicals and getting back to nature. Before we had all these chemicals, and starting like World War II, we started having all these chemicals in our gardens instead of the natural, basics. So you're carrying a lot of the
Over the next few weeks, I've got like the lava sand in, and the green sand, and the dried molasses. There are several products that we talked about at the January meeting where Tony made up, he had a formula, and I called my rep that I get hard goods from, and they had all the ingredients, and so we'll be selling it in smaller amounts, like 1 or 2 ounce packages instead of a 40-pound bag.
Right.
But that way,
be
you
more
can use it.
convenient,
Individuals can use it.
And I know Tony Lacassi, I remember, he is a big fan of the Dirt Doctor. And if you go to dirtdoctor.com, there's all kinds of information on that website about the different elements or things you can use organically in your garden instead of using all this quick chemical, fertilizers. So we're trying to get back into the natural.
Well, that's a sensible thing to do. I mean, some of these chemicals, people think, well, if 1 ounce works good, I'll do
use
2.
two,
And they use too much, or it's wasted, or it's harmful to the plant.
Right.
And a lot of times they might forget. And
if your soil's not right, then the roots can't absorb anything anyway.
It
So your
doesn't do
soil
good.
has to be good, and your pH has to be right for your plants to even absorb it. So anyway, it's just, I'm glad they're taking a lot of that stuff out of the products. In fact, I think up in Minnesota or Wisconsin a couple years ago, they would not allow you to buy the phosphorus unless you had a soil test that proved that you needed it. So that was a couple years ago. So I think that trend is kind of going through the whole country, and we're getting away from all that phosphorus that we don't need.
the only product that will contain phosphorus, which is not harmful, is milorganite. It's a natural ingredient. It has something to do with the brewing industry up there.
Well, it actually is the same as the sludge we get from the Bella Vista wastewater plant, and it's the sludge that comes out of the Milwaukee system, and it's bagged and sold all over the country, and it tests like at 0.1 or something like that for any bad chemicals. I mean, there's nothing bad in it. It's just all natural after it's it's fermented for 25 years. But up there they have plants and they have chemicals going into the wastewater, where at Bella Vista we don't have any of those chemicals going in because we don't have that much industry. So actually the wastewater sludge that they use at the wastewater at planting their plants is really tests out better than Milorganite. So the wastewater has plant sales along with our plant sales. Our Bella Vista Garden Club plant sale will be the first Saturday of May. That's May 5th. And I'll have more information about that on future shows. But our plants at our garden club sale are from our garden, so we know they'll grow here, and then the wastewater grows their plants from seedings and cuttings, you know, from here. So they're locally grown. We know they're going to survive. So that's another good source of buying plants. It's at the plant sale and then your gardens. And our local gardens are really working to do more things organically and have new and different ideas. So
Tom and Kitty look after their stuff like their children.
That's right.
They take good care of it.
They just love that, using that sludge and not, you know, letting it go to waste.
Yeah.
They really don't have enough to sell it like the Milorganite. They just don't get the volume like they do up in Milwaukee. So, excuse me. But anyway, it's another, March is also the month where the Master Gardeners start their hotline. And they'll have their hotline open on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9 to 12 and 1 to 4. And that's where you can call in if you have a question or a problem or you want some information. There's just a ton of information there at the extension office. And you could talk to a master gardener with your problem, and they'll call you back if they don't have the answer right away. And then you have to remember, a master gardener does not necessarily know everything about every subject. There's some that are, you know, experts in vegetables or lawns or roses, but they have the ability to find the answer for your question and get back to you. And they also have a lot of information they can mail out to you with, you know, written things that are developed by the university. So the hotline will start, like I said, in March. And if you just call their number, it's 271-1060. I think we had the scroll on the screen about their website also is bentoncountygardening.org, and there's just a lot of good information on their website. So the other upcoming thing is the Bella Vista Garden Club meeting will be March 28th, and it's going to be back at the United Lutheran Church. They finished their remodeling, so it starts at 11, and we're always guests are always welcome to come. We've gotten a lot of new members this year. People are moving into the village again, and we're getting a lot of new people from different areas. So
that's always good.
It's and you get a real diverse mix of people too.
Yeah.
You know, they have different interests and different when they've lived in different places. So there's also the Bella Vista Garden Club website, which is very easy, bellavistagardenclub.com. There's just tons of information on there.
It's a real good website.
And we're going to try to have some of these new products and new things on our Buzz section. There's a Buzz, new Buzz, Club Buzz, and we'll try to get some more information out on these new products and these new plants and maybe some pictures. We got some pictures of some things we can get out there on a little website. So, but the other thing we need to talk about is things to do in your garden in March. Like I said, everybody is getting anxious to do things. So we need to talk about your annuals. If you want to start from seeds,
this would be a good time.
This would be the perfect time. Yeah. Early March is to start your seeds, and then you can put them outside. The frost usually, the last frost is usually about April 10th to the 15th. And so you don't want to put them out too early. Bulbs, you can plant your gladiola bulbs about 2 weeks apart so that they would go and stagger the bloom. And as house plants, it's really too early to put your house plants out.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that because they just aren't going to like the cool nights.
Until it's about 50 degrees, I think, you want to keep your house plants inside, but you want to give them a little fertilizer starting in March, just to, as they show new growth, you want to maybe
One thing on starting things from seed, I got quite a bit in the other day, and I looked at from the day you plant to harvest, and if it was like 73 days and I knew I wanted to have a crop of apples ready or cucumbers or potatoes, I went ahead and picked the date and then counted backwards. And so that way I marked on the calendar when I knew to start things so that there's a constant supply, or it resupplies itself.
Oh, that's a great idea.
But just look at the package. And
just
it'll
mark
tell
your package,
Yeah.
you know, when to plant them.
Yeah.
So that's great. Lawns, it's time to put your pre-emergent out for weed and crabgrass, and by the 15th of March. And you can lay sod, you know, about this time too. And I think on Dirt Doctor there was organic way to treat henbit with cornmeal.
Oh.
And so if you go on that website, you can find out about that. So, and then perennials, is time to start dividing in late March when it starts getting a little warmer as you divide your perennials, and fertilize your peonies and your wisteria. And then if you haven't cut your grasses back yet, I haven't cut mine yet because we just got back in town. So you cut your grasses and your liriope back before the new growth starts up too much. And now roses, you're having some new roses.
Yeah, there's one that's called a drift rose, and it's low growing and it's more of a spreading rose. That's in a kind of a coral or a salmon. And then they've finally got a yellow knockout. A double knockout rose, which is very easy to care. They're disease resistant. You will have to treat them for Japanese beetles, just like anything, because we can't control them.
No.
But it is another new introduction that Greenleaf has developed, and it's in the knockout family, which they're very easy to care for. And
March is really the time to plant your bare root roses.
They like the cooler weather to
they
get
have
a
to be
start.
planted in March. And then as soon as the new growth starts, you have to start your black spot preventative. And there's, like I said on the website, that Dr. Dirt's got they have a formula for organic spray for black spot. And then vegetables, this is the time, like I said, to start planting.
Well, there's a lot of things.
In
I
March.
planted radishes yesterday, and got lettuce and cabbage, broccoli. There's a lot of things that are in
So
production
you can plant
now.
your peas and spinach, and onions can be set later in the month. You want to set your onions later.
And potatoes.
Potatoes.
Those are ready.
Yeah, and tomatoes you want to wait until it's.
You could start them indoors and at least get a little.
Get them started.
Yeah.
And then trees and shrubs, you just keep monitoring your water. We had a little rain in February, but not very much. So you have to monitor your trees for water and your shrubs. And if you planted shrubs like late in the fall, be sure you monitor that water too, so that they don't dry up. And you want to prune your butterfly bushes and your crepe myrtles now, and your spirea by about mid-March or so. But don't trim any of your spring blooming shrubs, because you're cutting the blooms off, your hydrangeas and your azaleas and such. And I think we have an itch to get out there and just do. And the only thing I'm doing right now is pulling weeds. We have weeds galore. I think this mild winter has just been a boon for these hen and henbit and chickweed. They're just everywhere. So it's time to get rid of the weeds before
getting the beds cleaned up and turning the soil, and again, the test would be the best thing to do before you even consider putting anything down. Go figure out what it is you have, and then you'll have a kind of a game plan going forward.
And they'll give you a good start for March and April, and so you know what you need to do. So, well, Brian, thank you so much for coming. I really enjoy all the information you share with us. You've been such a great member of the Garden Club.
Well, it's fun.
Share everything with us, and we certainly enjoy it. And I just love to see all these local nurseries with all the new plants that you can't find at the box stores, and even special orders. If you're looking for a certain plant that you're looking for, you might want to check with the local nurseries and see if they can order it for you. Sometimes they can do special orders and get what you're looking for. So anyway, thank you again, and I hope you've enjoyed the show, and you'll tune in next month. And until then, don't forget to stop and smell the roses.